Welcome back to Upfront. Today, we're taking an in-depth look at efforts to curb violence in Milwaukee, efforts that seem to be meeting some success. We're joined now by Reggie Moore. He is the director of the Office of Violence Prevention in the Milwaukee Health Department. Thank you for being here.
Thank you.
So we just watched that story there on the interruptions. We heard them talk about these so-called interruptions. Go ahead and tell me, this program started in November. How many interruptions have there been since then between the hospital level that we talked about and then the street level?
Right, so there's been 65 interruptions on the street, and there's been 74 referrals of patients who've been seen at Frederick Hospital.
And what do you define as a successful interruption? So
a successful interruption is where there's a credible conflict that has a high likelihood of resulting in some form of violence. It can be, threatened gun violence or an assault. And so that information, the team has relationships, or they'll get phone calls about conflicts that are brewing. And there's been several examples of that since the program launched, where they're able to make contact with the folks involved and help mediate that situation and get some level of agreement that that conflict can be resolved and won't escalate to an act of violence.
How do you decide if this is working, if this is cutting down on violence in Milwaukee?
I think the citywide numbers are a reflection of that. And this year alone, right now, we're about 13% down in terms of homicides and about 21% down in non-fatal shootings. But we understand that the family that is going to bury a loved one next week, that doesn't matter to, right? So it's really about not being assertive, being aggressive, and making sure that we're persistent in addressing this issue and not waiting for a shooting to happen, but being proactive to try to prevent the next shooting.
You mentioned the numbers. We reached out to Milwaukee police, and we know that so far this year there have been 60 homicides in Milwaukee. Last year at this time, 75. So that's down by 15 people. Do you think the interrupters played a role in that?
Absolutely, absolutely. I think it's definitely a contributing factor. There are many factors that impact violence in the community, and we believe that the community has also stepped up and people actually care about what's happening in their neighborhoods and understand that they can actually do something about it. But we need resources to be able to do that. And so I think the Blueprint for Peace has helped build a movement in this city where people understand that violence is preventable. It's not inevitable, the level of pain that we see in our community. And so we have to address the environmental factors. We have to address the interpersonal factors that contribute to violence every day in our city. And so we definitely believe that this intervention, which was called for by the community in the Blueprint for Peace, is having an impact.
And the Blueprint for Peace is really this whole effort, right? Not just the interrupters.
Right. So in 2017, we engaged thousands of residents in the city of Milwaukee, including young people, including survivors of violence, as well as folks who have perpetrated violence in their past, to basically say, what should we be doing to prevent and reduce violence in Milwaukee, particularly from a public health approach. And so the Blueprint resulted in 6 goals and 30 strategies to really address violence on the front end.
And this program is funded on a year-by-year basis, and it just started in November with $500,000, some of that money from the city, some from grants. Have you secured funding for the future? Right,
so fundraising for this program is ongoing. The mayor and the Common Council, that initial investment was a significant investment in getting the program off the ground, but we're going to need investment from a multitude of sectors, the business community, hospital systems, philanthropy, and individuals to really support these types of comprehensive efforts. And I also want to say, when we look at budgets, both at the city, county, and state level, we all have an investment that needs to be made in prevention. We can't rely on handcuffs and cages to resolve the issue of violence in our city. We have to take a proactive public health approach and look at what are the root causes of violence in our community and what do we need to invest in that actually shows evidence to be able to break that cycle of pain that we see.
You want help at the state level for this program. Why should they help the city of Milwaukee?
Absolutely. Number one, I know it's said quite often on this program that Milwaukee is the economic engine of the state, but it's also a moral imperative. It's not fiscally responsible to simply invest in incarceration. One gunshot victim or one gunshot wound, the treatment of that costs upwards of $1 million. That includes the investigative cost of law enforcement, the court costs, the prosecution costs, as well as the lost tax revenue. And so when we look at the impact and return on investment of prevention, if there have been 104 or close to 140 interruptions and you multiply that by $1 million, the impact that this program has had in a very short period of time is profound. And so it's smart policy and it's smart investment to invest in prevention.
And summer is traditionally known as one of the more violent times, unfortunately, at cities across the country. The surgeon at Froedtert also told us that. He said they see a lot of gunshot victims over the summer. So this was the Interrupters' first summer completed now. Unfortunately, some terrible news recently where a young woman, an anti-violence advocate, shot and killed in crossfire. How do you feel like the first summer went?
Right. I think overall it went well. When I think about, those 140 interruptions or interventions that could have resulted in someone being shot or killed, the summer could have definitely been worse. But again, one life that's been impacted by gun violence is one too many. I believe our past Memorial Day was the first Memorial Day in over 25 years where we had not one homicide in the city. And so that's something that we want to see repeated for Labor Day as we head into this weekend.
Reggie Moore, thank you.
Thank you.
Coming up, preventing violence in our schools. Wisconsin's school safety czar on what they're doing to protect kids. That's coming up next on Upfront.